Fuck. We have to talk about Hasan Piker again. I don't want to be the kind of person who bandwagons on the topical drama of the week just for a quick buck or anything, or to just regurgitate what the common ground content creator has already said about the situation, considering the majority of the content creators who are up to this particular drama situation with Hasan Piker are usually outside of my leftist sphere. And this is pretty much a topic I already covered in several other videos that we did in our channel like ages ago, especially when it comes to the leftist streamers like Hassan and how they are literal bourgeois, champagne socialists masquerading as regular worker class people. But I'm making this video because I'm genuinely frustrated and pissed off. And before anybody dares to point it out at the comment section, no, it's not because of some sort of denial of anything similar, but rather because this further proves my point, and I feel incredibly powerless as Hassan keeps growing and stronger like this while being validated further by his hordes of fans and brainless fans for saying stupid shit like the stupid shit we're going to talk about on this video today. If you're not up to speed, like the out of context Hassan clip of the moment here is basically the one where he says that a 9-to-5 job does not drain the soul out of you, and even with all the whole context accompanying it, with the whole sub story like Hassan had to follow it with for context in or out of context is still bad for reasons I'm going to explain here.
Yes, a real job can be gruesome, a real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you, you know what I mean?
Let me preface this by saying that I am a small content creator and streamer. I am a whole myriad of things when it comes to creative work, but more importantly, I'm a content creator and a streamer, and a really small one at that. Like 1,000 subs type small. There's a certain type of struggle I have when I have to earn a basic living, or try to, by pleasing an audience of strangers and viewers on a live stream, enough for them to earn me money that I will normally desperately need, so sometimes to pay extra for my bills. And I mean, the App Store subscriptions won't pay for themselves. Add this to the grind in general, the routine for waking up every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. to get my medication, shower, dress up, go to the nearby grocery store to grab a Monster drink and a bit of breakfast, set up OBS and start streaming, and you honestly get a hefty load of a struggle to keep viewers entertained enough to give you money. Now, it's not as much of a struggle as a regular 9-to-5 job. You can skip stream days whenever you wish to take a break, and streaming every Saturday is my own decision after all, but it is still part of the grind, especially when it's not a side hustle for some people, and these people have to rely on streaming or content creation for a living because they can't get a job elsewhere for any reason. If Hasan Piker said what he said about this particular subject as a small streamer with barely an audience, it will be understandable. And it's a thing that many small streamers have been silently screaming about in the void for a long time. But here's the problem though. Hassan is no small streamer. Oh no, he's a huge streamer with a huge audience, earning him millions of dollars in revenue from donations and subs on Twitch, who has $1 million mansion at $100,000 Porsche Taycan and plenty of other expensive luxuries, and who is born in a privilege of a wealthy billionaire family. Don't believe me? Stick around, asshole. Maybe you can help with the viewer attention for a bit. The guy streams for starters for 9 hours doing what is considered to be the bare bones of content after illegally stealing content. I mean, reacting to content and making a whole bunch of really bad political takes. Takes that make us leftists look bad. I just wonder then, what does he do in the other 17 hours if he finds these 9 hours of streaming soul draining? He was a small streamer with barely a source of solid revenue streaming for 9 hours, then yeah, maybe I'd go crazy and it will drain my soul entirely. But Hassan is pretty much 17 hours of not just eating and sleeping, but basically living in luxury in his mansion with maid servants and food delivery, with plenty of space and luxuries to relax with. And even then, he can also skip streaming days altogether to take a break. I also have a real 9-to-5 job to go as well during the rest of the week, aside of plenty of other things. So you can imagine I have less time to relax than Hassan himself. And you'd also have to consider that my life is similar to that of other smaller streamers like me who treat content creation as a side hustle. This is especially infuriating because Hassan has way more ways to steam off and relax after a stream than any other streamer like me or even a regular 9-to-5 worker. He's his own boss. He decides when to stream and when not to. But speaking on the subject of 9-to-5 workers, I'll just say this too. You folks know, if you've been aware of this channel for a while, of Connie, who's now my ex-girlfriend but also my fuck buddy, virtually speaking. I'm not going to reveal what kind of exact company she works at for the sake of her own safety, but let's just say she works at a retail 9-to-5 in an electronics department. You can tell how soul-draining her job is when, after work, whenever she gets on Discord or anything to see my numerous DMs and all that gets back home, she's so drained from work that she becomes entirely antisocial and bitter. And I don't say this to disrespect her, but it's clearly evident that people like me or Connie or any other worker class person with retail or other similar 9-to-5 jobs have it worse than Hasan Piker. Hell, don't even get me started if you work at a sewer or if you have to clean toilets. But that's not the real reason why Hassan finds streaming soul draining. Oh no, the whole reaction to his clip did reveal what's really the problem. After the backlash, he basically went on a tirade after his clip ended on r/livestream fails, saying how it is because of the negative comments from so-called Destiny fans why his streaming job is so soul draining.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? I literally said something 10 minutes in, clipped out of context, had a conversation over it, immediately went to XQC, immediately XQC responds to it. Oh, it's insane. This subreddit would not be alive if it wasn't for if it wasn't literally like suicide bait for streamers. It blows my fucking mind that this goddamn filth exists. It blows my mind. Every single streamer despises this except for XQC and Destiny's communities that brigade the fuck out of it for the most part. XQC community doesn't even care about it as much anymore. It's like, it blows my mind. Normally, on any other circumstance, this subreddit has like 3,000 people max at this point. The moment that like they're like, oh, we can drive a streamer to commit suicide, hopefully one day, then it's like 15K people. It's a cyber stalking central area here. It's crazy.
Now the puzzle pieces start to stick together. I'm sorry, Hassan. That's not a work problem. That's an ego problem. Because you got the ego over the size of the fucking sun. I think I already said this in a previous video, but Hassan takes criticism, even basic one, like a literal spoiled baby. The one that was born in a wealthy Turkish family. If I had similar problems with negative comments or similar, I just at most block them or ban them, and that's perfectly normal within the social media space and very well expected. But no, Hassan instead has to mount up a whole drama telenovela about how these Destiny fans are ruining his career. Man, all you need is a thicker skin. Look at me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never do. Now the problem here is that Hassan lives so much in his wealthy trust fund bubble that any form of criticism is considered an attack on his ego. I don't think there's any other criticisms of Hasan Piker that I haven't already said in previous videos that could be covered in here, But let me end the video with a funny side note that recently resurfaced, especially because of mentioning it in a Reddit seemed to piss Hassan off. Hassan keeps telling these sub stories about how he lived in a poor family in Turkey or whatever, but if you do a little bit of background check on Hassan himself, you would encounter his father, Mehmet B. Piker, a man who's basically a billionaire, a lobbyist in the EU who belonged to multiple boards of directors at several massive corporations. And by the way, here's a totally unrelated picture of Hassan as a kid riding a polo pony like a rich ripoff. If that isn't evidence of how Hassan will directly lie to you about how he's so much worker class and how socialists willing to save humanity from capitalism and fascism, and how he's totally not a bourgeois, what else will be? No, seriously,